Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Armchair, half talking to herself and half asleep.
Oh, you wicked, wicked little thing. Really, Dinah ought to have taught you better manners. Now, don't interrupt me. I'm going to tell you all your faults. Number 1. You squeaked twice while Dinah was washing your face this morning. Now, you can't deny it, Kitty, I heard you. Number 2. You pulled Snowdrop away by the tail just as I had put down the saucer of milk before her. Now, for number 3, you unwound every bit of worsted while I wasn't looking. Oh, well, that's 3 faults, Kitty, and you've not been punished for any of them yet. Now, you know I'm saving up all your punishments for Wednesday week. Suppose they had saved up all my punishments. What would they do at the end of the year? I should be sent to prison, I suppose, when the day came. Kitty, can you play chess? Now don't smile, my dear. I'm asking it seriously. Because when we played just now, you watched just as if you understood it. And when I said check, you purred. Well, it was a nice check, Kitty, and really, I might have won if it hadn't been for that nasty knight that came wriggling down among my pieces. Kitty, dear, let's pretend that you're the Red Queen. Do you know, I think if you sat up and folded your arms, you'd look exactly like her. I'll just hold you to the looking glass and you can see how sulky you are. And if you're not good directly, I'll put you right through into Looking Glass House. How would you like that? Now, if you'll only attend, Kitty, I'll tell you all my ideas about Looking Glass House. First, there's the room you can see through the glass. That's just the same as our drawing room, only the things go the other way. Oh, Kitty, how nice it would be if we could only get through into Looking Glass House. I'm sure it's got such beautiful things in it. Let's pretend there's a way of getting it to it somehow, Kitty. Let's pretend the glass has got all soft like gauze, so that we can get through. Why, it's turning into a sort of mist now, I declare. It'll be easy enough to get through. What fun it'll be when they see me through the glass in here and can't get at me.
Oh, my ears and whiskers, how late it's getting. Oh dear, I shall be too late.
Oh? Oh, what a lovely, lovely garden! How I should like to get out there among the bright flowers and cool fountains. Well, even if my head would go through, it would be of very little use without my shoulders. Oh, how I wish I could shut up like a telescope. Everything is so out of the way here, I believe I could if only I knew how to begin. Oh. Surely this was not here before. Drink me. Well, it's all very well to say drink me, but I'll look first to see whether you're marked poison or not. For if a little girl drinks from a bottle marked poison, it is almost certain to disagree with her sooner or later. It must be all right. It has a mixed flavour of cherry tart, mustard, pineapple, roast turkey, toffee, hot buttered toast. It's a curious feeling. I must be shutting up like a telescope. Well, I am. I wonder if I'm going out altogether like a candle. Now I am just the right height to get through it. But the key! Oh, key! It's crying. I advise you to leave off this minute. I'll leave it. And if it makes me go larger, I can reach the key. And if it makes me go smaller, I can creep under the door. So either way, I'll get into the garden. Now I'm too large for the door. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Great girl like you, to go on crying in this way. Stop at this moment, I tell you.
Oh, the Duchess! The Duchess! Won't she be savage if I've kept her waiting?
Oh, dear, dear. Well, how queer everything is today. And yesterday things went on just as usual. I wonder if I'm changed in the night. Let me think. Was I the same when I got up this morning? I almost think I can remember feeling a little different. But if I'm not the same, the next question is, who in the world am I? I'm sure I can't be Mabel, for I know all sorts of things, and she knows very little. I'll try and see if I know all the things I knew before. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws. Oh dear, I'm sure those are not the right words. I must be Mabel after all. Good heavens. There's not more than 3 inches left of me. It must be the fan. That was a narrow escape. Now, for the garden. But I don't have the key again. Oh, the key! Oh dear. Things are worse than ever. I dare say. It's too bad. That it is. wish I hadn't cried so much. I shall be punished for it now. I suppose by being drowned in my own tears. Would it be of any use now to speak to this mouse? Everything is so out of the way here that I think it very likely it can talk. At any rate, there's no harm in trying. Oh, mouse! Well, do you know the way out of this pool? I'm so very tired of swimming about here, oh mouse. I'm sure that must be the best way to address a mouse. I remember at school, Brother's Latin grammar said, a mouse, to a mouse, of a mouse, a mouse. Oh, mouse! Perhaps it doesn't understand English. I dare say it's a French mouse, come over with William the Conqueror. A shut! Oh, I beg your pardon. I quite forgot you didn't like cats.
Would you like cats if you were me?
Well, perhaps not. Don't be angry about it. And yet I wish I could show you our cat Dinah. I think you'd take a fancy to cats if you could only see her. She's such a dear, quiet thing. She's such a capital one for catching mice. I beg your pardon. Well, we won't talk about her anymore if you'd rather not.
We, indeed. As if I would talk on such a subject. Our family always hated cats. Nasty, low, vulgar things. Don't let me hear the name again.
I won't, indeed. Are you fond of dogs? Oh, there was such a nice little dog near our house I should like to show you. A little bright-eyed terrier. It belongs to a farmer, you know, and he says it's so useful it's worth £100. He says it kills all the rats. Oh! Dear, I'm afraid I've offended it again. Well, Mouse, dear, do come back again, and we won't talk about cats or dogs either if you don't like them.
Let us get to shore, and then I'll tell you my history, and you'll understand why it is I hate cats and dogs. Now sit down, all of you. Listen to me. I'll soon make you dry enough. Ahem! Are you all ready? This is the driest thing I know. Silence all around, if you please. William the Conqueror, whose cause was favoured by the Pope, was soon submitted to by the English, who wanted leaders, and had been of late much accustomed to usurpation and conquest. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria... I beg your pardon. Did you speak?
Not I, no.
I thought you did. I proceed. Edwin and Morcar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumbria, declared for him, and even Stigand, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury, found it advisable...
Found what?
Found it. Of course you know what it means.
I know what it means well enough. Whenever I find it, it's usually a frog or a worm. The question is, what did the Archbishop find?
Found it advisable to go with Edgar Atheling to meet William and offer him the crown. William's conduct was at first moderate, but the insolence of his Normans were... How are you getting on now, my dear?
As wet as ever. It doesn't seem to dry me at all.
In that case, I move that the meeting adjourn for the immediate adoption of more energetic remedies.
Speak English!
I don't know the meaning of half those long words, and what's more, I don't believe you do either. What I was going to say was that the best thing to get us try would be a caucus race.
What is a caucus race?
Why, the best way to explain it is to do it. The exact shape does not matter. Ready? Set. Race! The race is over.
But who has won?
Everybody has won, and all must have prizes.
But who is to give those prizes? Who is to give them?
Why, she, of course.
Oh,
Prizes!
prizes,
Give it to us, girl.
prizes,
Give it to us, girl.
prizes, prizes.
Here. Oh, one more.
But she must have a prize herself, you know.
Oh, of course. What else have you got in your pocket?
Only a thimble.
Hand it over here. We beg your acceptance of this elegant thimble.
You promised to tell me your history, you know, and why it is you hate C's and D's.
Mine is a long and a sad tale.
Well, it is a long tale, certainly, but why do you call it sad?
Fiore said to a mouse that he met in the house, "Let us both go to law. I will prosecute you." Come, I'll take no denial. We must have a trial. For really this morning there's nothing to do. Set the mouse to the cur. Such a trial, dear sir, with no jury or judge, would be wasting our breath. I'll be judge, I'll be jury, said cunning old Fiore. I'll try the whole cause and condemn you to death. You are not attending.
I beg your pardon. You had got to the fifth bend, I think.
I had not.
A knot? Oh, do let me help to undo it.
Oh, I shall do nothing of the sort.
What a pity it wouldn't stay.
I wish I had our Dinah here. I know I do. She'd soon fetch it back.
And who is Dinah, if I may venture to ask the question?
Dinah's our cat, and she's such a capital one for catching mice you can't think. And oh, I wish you could see her after the birds. Why, she'll eat a little bird as soon as look at it.
I really must be getting home. The night air doesn't suit my throat.
No.
Oh dear. I wish I hadn't mentioned Dinah. Nobody seems to like her here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in all the world. Oh, my dear Dinah, I wonder if I shall ever see you anymore.
Duchess! The Duchess! Oh, my new paws! Oh, my forehead whiskers! She'll get me executed as sure as ferrets are ferrets. Where can I have dropped them? Why, Marianne? What are you doing out out here. Run home this minute and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan. Quick, now!
He took me for his housemaid. How surprised he'll be when he finds out who I am. But I'd better take him his fan and gloves. That is, if I can find them.
Who are you?
I hardly know, sir, just at present. At least, I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I must have changed several times since then.
What do you mean by that? Explain yourself.
I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir, because I'm not myself, you see.
I don't see.
I'm afraid I can't put it any more clearly, for I can't understand it myself to begin with, and being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing.
It isn't.
Well, perhaps you haven't found it so yet, but when you have to turn into a chrysalis, you will someday, you know, and then after that into a butterfly, I should think you'll feel it a little queer, won't you?
Not a bit.
Well, perhaps your feelings may be different. All I know is it would feel very queer to me.
You? Who are you?
Well, I think you ought to tell me who you are first.
Why? Well, we'll come back. Come back. I've something important to say. Keep your temper.
Is that all?
No. So, you think you're changed, do you?
I'm afraid I am, sir. I can't remember things as I used, and I don't keep the same size for 10 minutes together.
Can't remember what things?
Well, I've tried to say, how doth the little busy bee, but it all came different.
Repeat, you are old, Father William.
You are old, Father William, the young man said, and your hair has become very white. And yet you incessantly stand on your head. Do you think at your age it is right? In my youth, Father William replied to his son, I feared it would injure the brain, but now that I'm perfectly sure I have none, why, I do it again and again. You are old, said the youth, and your jaws are too weak for anything tougher than suet. Yet you finished the goose with the bones and the beak. Pray, how did you manage to do it? In my youth, said the father, I took to the law and argued each case with my wife. And the muscular strength which I gave to my jaw has lasted the rest of my life.
That is not said right.
Not quite right, I'm afraid. Some of the words have got altered.
It is wrong from beginning to end. What size do you want to be?
Well, I'm not particular as to size. Only one doesn't like changing so often, you know.
I don't know. Are you content now?
Well, I should like to be a little larger, sir, if you wouldn't mind. 3 inches is such a wretched height to be.
It is a very good height indeed.
But I'm not used to it.
Oh, we all get used to it in time. One side will make you grow taller, and the other side will make you grow shorter.
One side of what? The other side of what?
Of the mushroom.
Now, which is which?
For the Duchess, an invitation from the Queen to play croquet.
From the Queen, an invitation for the Duchess to play croquet. There's no sort of use in knocking, and that for two reasons. One, I am on the same side of the door as you are. Second, they are making such a noise inside, no one could possibly hear you.
Please, then, how am I to get in?
Oh, there might be some sort of use in your knocking if we had the door between us. For instance, if you were inside, you could knock, and I could let you out, you know.
How am I to get in?
I shall sit here till tomorrow. Or next day, maybe.
But how am I to get in?
Are you to get in at all? That is the first question, you know.
It's really dreadful the way these creatures argue. It's enough to drive one crazy.
I shall sit here on and off for days and days.
But what am I to do?
Anything you'd like.
There's no use in talking to him. He's perfectly idiotic.
Pepper! More pepper!
There's certainly too much pepper in that soup. Please, would you tell me why your cat grins like that?
It's a Cheshire cat, and that's why. Pig!
I didn't know that Cheshire cats always grinned. In fact, I didn't know that cats could grin.
They all can, and most of them do.
Well, I didn't know any that do.
You don't know much, and that's a fact.
Oh. Please mind what you're doing. Oh, there goes his precious nose.
If everybody minded their own business, the world would go around a deal faster than it does.
Which would not be an advantage. Just think what work it would make with the day and the night. Well, you see, the Earth takes 24 hours to turn around on its axis.
Talking of axes, chop off her head!
24 hours, I think. Or is it 12?
Oh, don't bother me. I never could abide figures. Speak roughly to your little boy and beat him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy because he knows it teases. I speak severely to my boy. I beat him when he sneezes, for he can thoroughly enjoy the pepper when he pleases. Here, you may nurse it a bit if you like. I must go and get ready to play croquet with the Queen.
If I don't take this child away with me, they'll surely kill it in a day or two. Wouldn't it be murder to leave it behind? Don't grunt. Oh, that's not the proper way at all of expressing yourself. Whoa. Oh, if you're going to turn into a pig, my dear, I'll have nothing more to do with you. Wow. Oh. Now, what am I going to do with this creature when I get home? If it had grown up, it would have been a dreadfully ugly child. But it makes a rather handsome pig, I think.
I don't bother chasing my son.
Cheshire, would you tell me, please, which way I ought to walk from here?
That depends a good deal on where you want to get to.
I don't much care where.
Then it doesn't matter which way you walk.
So long as I get somewhere.
Oh, you're sure to do that if you only walk long enough.
What sort of people live along here?
Well, to the right lives the Hatter. To the left lives the March Hare. Visit either you like. They're both mad.
But I don't want to go among mad people.
Oh, you can't help that. We're all mad. I'm mad. You're mad.
How do you know that I'm mad?
You wouldn't have come here if you weren't. Did you play croquet with the Queen today?
I should like it very much, but I haven't been invited yet.
You'll see me there. By the by, what became of the baby? I'd nearly forgotten to ask.
It turned into a pig.
I thought it would. Did you say pig or fig?
I said pig, and I wish you wouldn't keep appearing and vanishing so suddenly. You make one quite giddy.
All right. 'Cause I got cat class and I got cat style.
I've often seen a cat without a grin, but a grin without a cat. It's the most curious thing I ever saw in all my life. I've seen hatters before. The March Hare will be much the most interesting. And perhaps, as this is May, it won't be raving mad. At least not as mad as it was in March.
I know what you're saying. Oh, it's quite good, it's quite good, it's quite good.
Oh, it's quite good tea, good cookies.
Oh, well, it must be very uncomfortable for the dormouse. Only, as it's asleep, I suppose doesn't mind.
No room! No room.
There's plenty of room.
Have some wine.
I don't see any wine.
That's because there isn't any.
Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it.
Well, it wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited.
I didn't know it was your table. It's laid for a great many more than 3.
Your hair wants cutting.
Well, you should learn not to make personal remarks. It's very rude.
Why is a raven like a writing desk?
Oh, come, we shall have some fun now. I'm glad they've begun asking riddles. I believe I can guess that.
Do you mean you think you could find out the answer to it?
Exactly so.
Then why don't you say what you mean?
I do. At least I mean what I say. Well, that's the same thing, you know.
Oh, not the same thing a bit. Why, you might just as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see.
Oh, you might just as well say I like what I get is the same thing as I get what I like.
Why, you might as well say I breathe when I sleep is the same thing as I sleep when I breathe.
It is the same thing with you. What day of the month is it?
The 4th.
2 days wrong. I told you butter wouldn't suit the works.
Well, it was the best butter.
Yes, but some crumbs must have got in as well. You should not have put it in with the bread knife.
It was the best butter.
What a funny-looking watch. It tells the days of the month and doesn't tell what o'clock it is.
Well, why should it? Does your watch tell you what year it is?
Of course not. But that's because it stays the same year for such a long time together.
Which is just the case with mine.
I don't quite understand you.
Oh, the dormouse is asleep again. Come on, wake up!
Wake up, dormouse, wake up!
Of course. I was just about to remark that myself.
Have you guessed the riddle yet?
No. I give it up. What's the answer?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Nor I.
I think you might do something better with the time than wasting it in asking riddles that have no answers.
Oh, if you knew time as well as I do, you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's him.
I don't know what you mean.
Oh, well, of course you don't. I dare say you never even spoke to time.
Perhaps not, but I know I have to beat time when I learn music.
Ah, that accounts for it. He won't stand for beating. Now, if you only kept on good terms with him, he'd do almost anything you'd like with the clocks. For instance, suppose it were 9 o'clock in the morning, just in time to begin lessons. You only have to whisper a hint to time, and round goes the clock in a twinkling. 1:30, time for dinner.
Oh, I only wish it was.
Well, that would be grand, certainly, but then I shouldn't be hungry for it, you know.
Not at first, perhaps, but you could keep it to 1:30 as long as you'd like.
Is that the way you manage?
Not I. Oh. We quarrelled last March, just before he went mad, you know. It was at the great concert given by the Queen of Hearts, and I had to sing... Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at. You know the song, perhaps?
I've heard something like it.
Well, it goes on, you know, in this way. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle,
twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. Twinkle, 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 twinkle.
The Queen bawled out, "He's murdering the time! Off with his head!"
Oh, how dreadfully savage!
Then he won't do a thing I ask. It's always 6 o'clock now.
Is that the reason so many tea things are laid out here?
Yes, that's it. It's always tea time, and we've no time to wash the things between whiles.
Then you keep moving around, I suppose.
Exactly so, as the things get used up.
But when you come to the beginning again...
Suppose we change the subject. I'm getting tired of this. I vote the young lady tell us a story.
Oh.
I'm afraid I don't know one.
Well, that's
the
all right. The
Dormouse
Dormouse shall tell one. Dormouse!
Dormouse, wake up!
Dormouse, wake up!
No, of
Wake
course,
up.
of course. I heard every word you fellows were saying.
Dormouse, tell us a story.
Yes, please do.
Quick about it, you'll be asleep before it's done.
Once upon a time, there were 3 little sisters, and their names were Elsie, Lacey, and Tilly, and, they all lived at the bottom of a well.
Oh, good. Enjoyed it, I did.
Well, what did they live on?
They lived on treacle.
But they couldn't have done that, you know. They'd have been ill.
Oh, well, of course they were. Very ill.
But why did they live at the bottom of a well?
Take some more tea.
I've had nothing yet, so I can't take more.
You mean you can't take less? It's very easy to take more than nothing.
Nobody asked your opinion.
Who's making personal remarks now?
Why did they live at the bottom of a well?
It was a treacle well.
There's no such thing as a trick.
Well, if you can't be civil, you might as well finish the story yourself, eh?
No, please go on. I won't interrupt again. Well, I dare say there may be one.
One indeed. And so these 3 little sisters, they were learning to draw, you know.
Well, what did they draw?
Treacle.
I want a clean cup. Let's all move one place on. Right.
I don't understand. I don't understand at all. Where did they draw the treacle from?
Well, if you can draw water from a water well, I should think you could draw treacle from a treacle well, eh, stupid?
But they were in the well.
Of course they were! They were well in! And so they were learning to draw a manner of things, really. Everything that began with an M.
Why were they learning to draw things with an M?
Why not?
With an M, such as memory, and mousetraps, and the moon, and muchness. You know, they say things are much of a muchness. But have ye ever seen such a thing as a drawing of a muchness?
Really? Now you ask me. I don't think that there's any such thing.
Then you shouldn't talk.
I'll never go there again. It's the stupidest tea party I ever was at in all my life.
Have some more tea, Hurry now. Don't worry about the stems, get the petals. She's not going to look at the stems, she's going to look at the petals.
The stems are a very integral part of the rose.
No, Steven, stop eating the paint. I saw you eating the paint. We don't have enough.
Put a red stem with a sun don't shine. That's what I'll tell you right now.
5, hand me the paint now. 5, hand me the paint. Oh, look out now, 5. Don't go splashing paint all over me.
I couldn't help it. 7 jogged me elbow.
Oh, that's right, 5. Lay the blame on others.
Oh, you better not talk. I heard only yesterday the Queen said you deserve to be beheaded.
Oh. Well, that's none of your business.
It is his business, and I'll tell him. It was for bringing up the cooked tulips instead of the onions.
Oh, well, of all the unjust things.
Would you tell me, please? Would you tell me, please, why you are painting those roses?
Oh, well, the fact is, you see, miss, this here ought to have been a red rose tree, but we put in a white one by mistake, and if the Queen were to find out, we'd have our heads cut off, you know? What? What is it?
The Queen! The Queen!
The Queen!
What's your name, child?
My name is Alice, so please your majesty. Why, they're only a pack of cards after all. I needn't be afraid of them.
And who are these?
Well, how should I know? It's no business of mine.
Off with her head! Off with her head!
Well, nonsense.
Consider, my dear, she's only a child.
Turn them over. Get up. Oh, leave off that. You make me giddy. What have you been doing here?
May it please your majesty, we were trying to...
Oh, I see! Off with their heads!
Oh.
Can you play croquet?
Yes?
Come on, then.
It's a fine day.
Very. Where's the Duchess?
Hush, hush! She is under sentence of execution.
What for?
Did you say, what a pity?
No, I didn't. I don't think it's at all a pity. I said, what for?
She boxed the Queen's ears. Hush, the Queen will hear you. You see, she came rather late, and the Queen said...
Get to your places! Off with his head! Off with their heads! Off with their heads!
You can't think how glad I am to see you again, you dear old thing. You're thinking about something, my dear, and that makes you forget to talk. I can't tell just now what the moral of that is, but I shall remember it in a bit.
Well, perhaps it hasn't one.
Tut-tut, child! Everything's got a moral, if you can find it.
Well, the game's going rather better now.
'Tis so, and the moral of that is, oh, 'tis love that makes the world go round.
Somebody said it's done by everybody minding their own business.
Ah, well, it means much the same thing. And the moral of that is, take care of the sense, and sounds will take care of themselves.
How fond she is of finding morals in things.
I dare say you're wondering why I don't put my arm around your waist. The reason is that I'm rather doubtful about the temper of your flamingo. Shall I try the experiment?
It might bite.
Very true. Flamingos and mustard both bite. And the moral of that is, birds of a feather flock together.
But mustard isn't a bird.
Right, as usual. What a clear way you have of putting things.
It's a mineral, I think.
Of course it is. There's a large mustard mine near here. And the moral of that is, the more there is of mine, the less there is of yours.
Oh, I know. It's a vegetable. It doesn't look like one, but it is.
I quite agree with you. And the moral of that is, be what you would seem to be. Or, if you'd like it put more simply, never imagine yourself to be otherwise than what it might appear to others, that what you were or might have been was not otherwise than what you had been would have happened to be otherwise.
I think I should understand that better if I'd written it down, but I can't quite follow it as you say it.
That's nothing to what I could say if I chose.
Pray, don't trouble to say it any longer than that.
Oh, don't talk about trouble. I make you a present of everything I've said as yet, and the more a fine day, Your Majesty.
Now, I give you fair warning. Either you or your head must be off, and that's in about half no time. Take your choice. Have you seen the mock turtle yet?
I don't even know what a mock turtle is.
Why, it's the thing mock turtle soup is made from.
I never saw one, nor heard of one.
Come on then, and he shall tell you his history. Griffin! Griffin! Up, lazy thing. And take this young lady to see the mock turtle, and to hear his history. I must go and see after some executions I have ordered.
Oh, what fun!
Well, what is the fun?
Oh, why she? It's all a fancy, that. They never execute nobody, you know.
Oh,
Come on.
I never was so ordered about in all my life. Never.
Ba 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 boom, ba do do do, ba 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 boom, ba 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 bum boom boom, ba 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 bum.
Well, what is his sorrow?
Oh, it's all his fancy, that. He hasn't got no sorrow, you know. Oh, come on. Ahem. This here young lady, she wants for to know your history, she do.
I'll tell it to her. Sit down, both of you, and don't speak a word until I've finished. Once, I was a real turtle. When we were little, we went to school in the sea. The master was an old turtle. We used to call him Tortoise.
Why did you call him Tortoise if he wasn't one?
We called him Tortoise because he taught us. Really, you are quite dull.
Oh, you ought to be ashamed of yourself for asking such a simple question. Now, drive on, old fellow. Don't be all day about it.
Yes, we went to school in the sea, though you mayn't believe it.
I never said I didn't.
Oh, you did.
Hold your tongue.
We had the best of educations. In fact, we went to school every day.
Well, I've been to day school too. You needn't be so proud as all that.
With extras.
Yes. French and music.
And washing?
Certainly not.
Ah, then yours wasn't a really good school. Now, at ours, they had at the end of the bill French, music, and washing extra.
You couldn't have wanted it much living at the bottom of the sea.
I couldn't afford to learn it. I only took the regular course.
What was that?
Reeling and writhing, of course, to begin with, and then the different branches of arithmetic. You have ambition, distraction, uglification, and derision.
I've never heard of uglification. What is it?
Never heard of uglification. You know what to beautify is, I suppose.
Well, it means to make anything prettier.
Well then, if you don't know what to uglify is, you are a simpleton.
Well, and how many hours a day did you do lessons?
10 hours the first day and 9 the next, and so on.
What a curious plan.
Well, that's the reason they're called lessons, because they lessen from day to day.
Then the 11th day must have been a holiday.
Of course it was.
But how did you manage on the 12th?
That's enough about lessons. Tell us something about the games now. Same as if he had a bone in his throat.
Thank you. You may not have lived much under the sea.
I haven't.
And perhaps you were never introduced to a lobster.
Well, I once tasted. No, never.
So you have no idea what a delightful thing a lobster quadrille is.
No, indeed. What sort of a dance is it?
Would you like to see a little of it?
Very much indeed.
Come, let's try the first figure. We can do it without the lobsters, you know? Which shall sing?
Oh, you sing. I've forgotten the words.
Will you walk a little faster, said the whiting to the snail. There's a porpoise close behind us and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They are waiting on the shingle. Will you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you? Will you, won't you? Will you join the dance? Will you, won't you? Will you, won't you? Will you join the dance?
Well, thank you. It's a very interesting dance to watch. And I do so like that curious song about the whiting.
As to the whiting, you've seen them, of course.
Well, yes, I've often seen them at din.
I don't know where din may be, but if you've seen them so often, then of course you know what they look like.
Do you know why it's called a whiting?
I never thought about it. Why?
It does the boots and shoes.
Does the boots and shoes?
Why? What are your shoes done with?
With blacking, I believe.
Oh, boots and shoes under the sea are done with whiting. Now you know.
But what are they made of?
Soles and eels, of course. Any shrimp could have told you that.
If I'd have been the whiting in the song, I'd have said to the porpoise, "Keep back, please. We don't want you with us."
Oh, they were obliged to have him. I mean, no wise fish would go anywhere without a porpoise.
Wouldn't it really?
Oh, of course not. Why, if a fish came to me and told me he was going on a journey, I'd say, with what purpose?
Oh!
Don't you mean with what purpose?
I mean what I say.
Shall we try another figure of the lobster quadrille? Or would you like the mock turtle to sing you a song?
Oh, a song, please, if the mock turtle would be so kind.
No accounting for taste, then. Sing a turtle soup, will you, old fellow?
Beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. Who for such dainties would not stoop? Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Of the evening, beautiful soup, beautiful soup, beautiful soup, soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soup
Who cares for fish, game, or any other dish? Who would give whole hell's for 2 pennyworth only for beautiful soup? Soup of the evening, beautiful, ha-ha, soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, beautiful soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful.
The trial's beginning! The trial's beginning! The trial's beginning!
Come on!
Well, what trial is it?
Come on!
Ooh! Oh, what lovely tarts! Oh, I'd wish they'd get the trial done and hand round the refreshments. Well, that's the judge, because of his great wig. And that's the jury box. And I suppose those creatures are the jurors. What are they doing? I can't have anything to put down yet before the trial's begun.
They're writing down their names for fear they should forget them before the end of the trial.
Stupid things.
Silence! In the court.
Young lady, just look along the road and tell me whom you see.
I see nobody on the road.
I only wish I had such eyes, to be able to see nobody, and at that distance too. Why, it's as much as I can do to see real people by this light.
Well, I see somebody now, but he comes very slowly, and what curious attitudes he goes into.
Not at all. He's an Anglo-Saxon messenger, and those are Anglo-Saxon attitudes. He only does them when he's happy. His name is Heya.
I love my love with an H, because he is happy. I hate him with an H, because he is hideous. I feed him with ham sandwiches and hay. His name is Heya, and he lives...
He lives on the hill. The other messenger is called Hatter. I must have two, you know. One to come and one to go.
I beg your pardon?
It isn't respectable to beg. I mean, this young lady loves you with an A.
Oh.
You alarm me. I feel faint. Give me a ham sandwich. Another.
Oh, there's nothing but hay now.
Hey then. There's nothing like eating hay when you feel faint.
Well, I should think throwing cold water over you would be better.
I didn't say there was nothing better. I said there was nothing like it. Who did you pass on the road?
Nobody.
Oh, quite right. This young lady saw him too. So, of course, nobody walks slower than you. Now that you've got your breath, you may tell us what they're saying in the town.
I'll whisper it. The trial ought to begin.
Do you call that a whisper? If you do such a thing again, I'll have you buttered. Oh, it went through and through my head like an earthquake. Sit down. Herald, read the accusation.
The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts and took them quite away.
Consider your verdict.
Not yet, not yet. There's a great deal more to come before that.
Call the first witness.
First witness.
I beg pardon, Majesty, for bringing these in, but I hadn't quite finished my tea when I was sent for.
You ought to have finished. When did you begin?
14th of March, I think it was.
15th.
16th.
Write that down. Take off your hat.
It isn't mine.
Stolen.
I keep them to sell. I've none of my own. I'm a hatter.
Give your evidence, and don't be nervous, or I'll have you executed on the spot.
Bring me the list of singers in the last concerts.
Oh.
Give your evidence, or I'll have you executed, whether you're nervous or not.
I'm a poor man, Your Majesty, and I hadn't but just begun my tea not above a week or so ago, and what with the bread and butter getting so thin and the twinkling of the tea...
The twinkling of what?
It began with the tea.
Well, of course, twinkling begins with a T. Do you take me for a dunce? If that's all you know, you may stand down.
Well, I can't go any lower. I'm on the floor as it is.
Then you may sit down.
I'd rather finish my tea.
You may go.
Just take his head off outside.
Consider your verdict.
There's more evidence to come yet, please, Your Majesty. This paper has just been picked up. It's a set of verses.
Are they in the prisoner's handwriting?
No, they're not. And that's the queerest thing about it.
He must have imitated someone else's hand.
Please, Your Majesty, I didn't write it, and they can't prove that I did. There's no name signed at the end.
If you didn't sign it, that only makes matters worse. You must have meant some mischief, or you'd have signed your name like an honest man.
That proves his guilt.
It proves nothing of the sort. Why, you don't even know what they're about.
Read them.
Where shall I begin, please, Your Majesty?
Begin at the beginning, and go on until you come to the end. Then stop.
They told me you had been to her and mentioned me to him. She gave me a good character, but said I could not swim. He sent them word I had not gone. We know it to be true. If she should push the matter on, what would become of you? I gave her 1, they gave him 2, you gave us 3 or more. They all returned from him to you, though they were mine before. I gave her 1, they gave him 2, you gave us 3 or more. They all returned from him to you, though they were mine before. If I or she should chance to be involved in this affair, he trusts to you to set them free exactly as we were. He trusts to you to set them free exactly as they were. My notion was that you had been, before she had this fit, an obstacle that came between him and ourselves and it. An obstacle that came between him and ourselves and it. Don't let him know she likes them best, for this must ever be a secret kept from all the rest between yourself and me. A secret kept from all the rest between yourself and me.
That's the most important piece of evidence we've heard yet. So now let the jury...
If any of them can explain it, I'll give him 6 pence. I don't believe there's an atom of meaning in it.
She doesn't believe
If there's no meaning in it, that saves a world of trouble, you know, as we needn't try to find any. And yet, I don't know. I seem to see some meaning in them after all. Let's see. I said I could not swim. You can't swim, can you?
Do I look like it?
All right, so far. We know it to be true. Well, that's the jury, of course. I gave her 1, they gave him 2. Why, that must be what he did with the tarts, you know?
But it goes on. They all returned from him to you.
Why, there they are. Ooh. Then again, before she had this fit, you never had fits, my dear, I think.
Never.
Then the words don't fit you. It's a pun.
It's a lie.
What do you know about this business?
Nothing.
Nothing whatever?
Nothing whatever.
That's very important.
Unimportant, Your Majesty means, of course.
Oh, unimportant, of course I meant. Important, unimportant, important, unimportant. Yes, unimportant. Yes, to be sure. Consider your verdict.
No! Sentence first, verdict afterwards.
Well, stuff and nonsense. The idea of having the sentence first.
Hold your tongue.
I won't.
With her head.
Who cares for any of you? Nothing but a...
do you come from, and where are you going? Look up, speak nicely, and don't twiddle your fingers.
Wait, you see, I've lost my way.
I don't know what you mean by your way. All the ways about here belong to me. Curtsy while you're thinking what to say. It saves time.
I'll try it when I go home the next time I'm a little late for dinner.
It's time for you to answer now. Open your mouth a little wider when you speak, and always say, Your Majesty.
I only wanted to see what the garden was like, Your Majesty.
That's right. Though when you say garden, I've seen gardens compared with which you'd call this a wilderness.
And I thought I'd try and find my way to the top of that hill.
When you say hill, I could show you hills in comparison with which you would call that a valley.
No, I shouldn't. A hill can't be a valley, you know. That would be nonsense.
You may call it nonsense if you like, but I've heard nonsense in comparison with which that would be as sensible as a dictionary.
Well, I declare, it's marked out just like a large chessboard. It's a great, huge game of chess that's being played all over the world. If this is the world at all, you know. Oh, what fun it is. How I wish I was a part of the game. I wouldn't mind being a pawn if only I might join, though of course, I should like to be a queen best.
That's easily managed. You can be the White Queen's pawn if you like, as Lily's too young to play. And you're in the second square to begin with. When you get to the 8th square, you'll be a queen. Faster! Faster!
I wonder if all the things move along with us.
Faster! Don't try to talk. Faster! Faster!
Well, are we nearly there?
Nearly there? Why, we passed it 10 minutes ago. Faster! Now! Now! Faster! Faster! You may rest a little now.
Why, I do believe we've been under this tree the whole time. Everything's just as it was.
Of course it is. What would you have it?
Well, in our country you generally get to somewhere else if you ran very fast for a very long time, as we've been doing.
A slow sort of country. Now here, you see, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. If you want to get someplace else, you must run at least twice as fast as that.
Oh, I'd rather not try, please. I'm quite content to stay here. Only I'm so hot and thirsty.
I know what you'd like. Have a biscuit? While you're refreshing yourself, I'll just take the measurements. At the end of 2 yards, I shall give you your directions. Have another biscuit?
No, thank you. One is quite enough.
Thirst quenched, I hope. At the end of 3 yards, I shall repeat them for fear of your forgetting them. At the end of 4, I shall say goodbye. And at the end of 5, I shall go. A pawn goes 2 squares in its first move, you know, so you'll go very quickly through the 3rd square. By railway, I should think. And you'll find yourself in the 4th square in no time. Well, that square belongs to Tweedledum and Tweedledee. The 5th is mostly water. The 6th belongs to Humpty Dumpty. But you make no remark.
I didn't know I had to make one just then.
You should have said, "It's extremely kind of you to tell me all this." However, we'll suppose it said. The 7th square is all forest. However, one of the knights will show you the way. And in the 8th square we shall be queens together, and it's all feasting and fun. Speak in French when you can't think of the English for a thing. Turn out your toes when you walk, and remember who you are.
Well, she can run very far.
Goodbye.
Tickets, please. Now then, show me your ticket, child.
Don't keep him waiting, child. Why, his time is worth
£1,000 a minute.
Well, I'm afraid I haven't got one. There wasn't a ticket office where I came from.
There wasn't room for one where she came from. The land there is worth
£1,000 an inch.
Don't make excuses. You should have bought one from the engine driver.
The man that drives the engine, why, the smoke alone is worth
£1,000. Well, then there's no use in speaking.
Better say nothing at all. Speaking is worth
£1,000.
I'll dream about £1,000 tonight, I know I shall.
You're traveling the wrong way.
So young a child ought to know which way she's going, even if she doesn't know her own name.
She ought to know her way to the ticket office, even if she doesn't know her alphabet. She'll have to go back from here as luggage.
Change engines!
It's just a brook we have to jump over.
However, it'll take us into the 4th square. Well, that's some comfort. D. Done. I suppose they've each got Tweedle round at the back of the collar.
Hey, if you think we're waxworks, you ought to pay, you know. Waxworks aren't made to be looked at for nothing, now. Contrawise, if you think we're alive, you ought to speak.
Sure, I'm very sorry.
I know what you're thinking about, but it ain't so, now. Contrawise, if it was so, it might be, and if it were so, it would be, but as it isn't, it ain't. That's logic.
I was thinking, which is the best way out of this wood. It's getting dark. Would you tell me, please? They look so exactly like a couple of schoolboys. First boy.
Now.
Next boy.
Contrawise.
Would you tell me, please?
You like poetry?
Yes. Pretty well. Some poetry.
What shall we repeat to her? The walrus and the carpenter. That's longest.
If it's very long, would you tell me, please, which road?
The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make billows smooth and bright. And this was all because it was the middle of the night. The walrus and the carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand. If this were only cleared away, they said, it would be grand. Oh, oysters, come and walk with us, the walrus did beseech. A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each. The eldest oyster looked at him, but never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed. But 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd because, you know, they hadn't any feet. 4 other oysters followed them, and yet another 4. And thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more. All up and through the frothy waves, and scrambling to the shore. The walrus and the carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock conveniently low. And all the little oysters stood and waited in a row. The time has come, the walrus said, to talk of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings. A loaf of bread, the walrus said, is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar besides. Now if you're very oysters, dear, we can begin to feed. But not on us, the oysters cried, turning a little blue. After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do. The night is fine, the walrus said. Do you admire the view? It seems a shame, the walrus said, to play them such a trick, after we brought them out so far and made them trot so quick. The carpenter said nothing, but the butter spread too thick. I weep for you, the walrus said. I deeply sympathize. With sobs and tears he sorted out those of the largest size. Holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes. Oyster, said the carpenter, you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again? But answer came there none. But answer came there none. And this was scarcely odd because they'd eaten every one.
I like the walrus best because, you see, he was a little sorry for the poor oysters.
He ate more than the carpenter, though. You see, he held his handkerchief in front so that the carpenter couldn't count how many he took. Contrawise.
That was mean. Well, then I like the carpenter best. If he didn't eat as many as the walrus.
But he ate as many as he could get.
Well, They were both very unpleasant characters. At any rate, I'd better be getting out of this wood, for really it's coming on dark. Do you think it's going to rain?
No. I don't think so. At least not under here. No how.
But it may rain outside.
Yeah, it may if it chooses. We're no objection. Contrawise.
Selfish things. Well, here's somebody's shawl being blown off. I'm glad I happened to be in the way.
Bread and butter, bread and butter, bread and butter.
Am I addressing the White Queen?
Well, yes, if you call that addressing. It isn't my notion of the thing at all.
If your Majesty will only tell me the right way to begin, I'll do it as well as I can.
But I don't want it done at all. I've been addressing myself for the last 2 hours.
Every single thing's crooked and she is all over pins. May I pin your shawl straight for you?
I don't know what the matter is with it. It's out of temper, I think. I've pinned it here and I've pinned it there, but there's no pleasing it.
It can't go straight, you know, if you pin it all on one side. Dear me, what a state your hair is in.
The brush got entangled in it and I lost the comb yesterday.
Oh. Go on. Well, come, you look rather better now. But really, you should have a lady's maid.
I'm sure I'd take you. With pleasure. 2 pence a week in jam. Every other day.
I don't want you to hire me. And I don't care for jam.
It's very good jam.
Well, I don't want it today, at any rate.
You couldn't have it today if you did want it. The rule is jam tomorrow and jam yesterday, but never jam today.
It must come sometimes to jam today.
No, it can't. It's jam every other day. And today isn't any other day, you know.
I don't understand you. It is dreadfully confusing.
Ah, that's the effect of living backwards. It always makes one a little giddy at first.
Living backwards? I never heard of such a thing.
But there's a great advantage in it. That's one memory works both ways.
Mine only works one way. I can't remember things before they happen.
It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards.
What sort of things do you remember best?
Oh, things that happen weeks after next. For instance now, there's the King's Messenger. He is in prison now being punished, and the trial doesn't even begin until next Wednesday. And of course, the crime comes last of all.
Suppose he never commits the crime.
That would be all better, wouldn't it?
Of course it would be all better, but it wouldn't be all the better his being punished.
You're wrong there, at any rate. Were you ever punished?
Only for faults.
And you were all the better for it. I know.
Yes, but then I had done the things that I was being punished for. Well, that makes all the difference.
But if you hadn't done them, that would have been better still. And better, and better, and better. Oh.
There's a mistake somewhere.
Oh, my finger is bleeding. Oh.
What is the matter? Well, have you pricked your finger?
I haven't pricked it yet, but I soon shall. Oh.
When do you expect to do it?
When I fasten my shawl again, the brooch will come undone directly.
Oh, well, take care. Oh. Well, you're holding it all crooked.
Oh!
Oh.
There. You see? Now you understand the way things happen here.
But why don't you scream now?
Why, I've done all the screaming already. What would be the good of having it all over again?
I'm glad it's getting lighter. I thought it was the night coming on.
I wish I could manage to be glad. Only I never can remember the rule. You must be very happy living in this wood and be very glad wherever you like.
Only it's so very lonely here.
Oh, don't go on like that. Consider what a great girl you are. Consider what a long way you've come. Consider what o'clock it is. Consider anything. Only don't cry.
Can you keep from crying by considering things?
That's the way it's done. Nobody can do two things at once, you know. Let's consider your age to begin with. How old are you?
I am 7.5. Exactly.
You needn't say exactly. I can believe it without that. Now, I'll give you something to believe. I am just 101, 5 months and a day.
I can't believe that.
Can't you? Try again. Draw a long breath and shut your eyes.
Well, there's no use trying. One can't believe impossible things.
I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Oh. There goes the shawl again. I've got it. Now, you shall see me pin it again, all by myself.
Then I hope your finger is better now.
Much better. Oh, much better. 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 Better.
Ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. Oh. What is it you want to buy?
I don't quite know yet. Well, I should like to look all around me first, if I might.
You may look in front of you and on both sides, if you like. But you can't look all around you unless you've got eyes in the back of your head.
Things flow about so here.
Are you a child or a teetotum? You'll make me giddy soon if you go on turning round like that.
How can she knit with so many? She gets more and more like a porcupine every minute.
Now, what do you want to buy?
To buy? Well, I should like to buy an egg, please. How do you sell them?
5 pence farthing for 1, 2 pence for 2.
Then 2 are cheaper than 1.
Only you must eat them both. If you buy 2.
Well, then I'll have 1, please. They mightn't be nice at all, you know.
I never put things into people's hands. That would never do. You must get it for yourself.
I wonder why it wouldn't do. The egg seems to get farther and farther away the more I walk towards it. This is the very queerest shop I ever saw. Why, it's Humpty Dumpty himself. And how exactly like an egg he is.
It's very provoking to be called an egg. Very.
I said you looked like an egg, sir. And some eggs are very pretty, you know.
Well, some people have no more sense than a baby.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty in his place again. The last line is much too long for the poetry.
Don't stand there chattering to yourself like that, but tell me your name and your business.
My name is Alice, but in regards to
That is a very stupid name. Enough. What does it mean?
Must a name mean something?
Of course it must. My name means the shape I am, and a good, handsome shape it is too. With a name like yours, you might be any shape. Almost.
Why do you sit out here all alone?
Why, because there's nobody with me. Did you think I didn't know the answer to that? Ask another.
Don't you think you'd be safer down on the ground? That wall is so very narrow.
What tremendously easy riddles you ask. Of course, I don't think so. Why, if ever I did fall off, which there's no chance of. But if I did fall, the king had promised me. Oh, you may turn pale if you like. You didn't think I was going to say that, did you? The king had promised me, with his very own mouth, to
send all his horses and all his men?
Now I declare that's too bad. You've been listening at doors and behind trees and down chimneys, or you couldn't have known that.
I haven't indeed. It's in a book. Oh. What a beautiful belt you've got on. At least, a beautiful cravat, I should have said. No, a belt? I mean, I beg your pardon. I do wish I hadn't chosen that subject. If only I knew which was neck and which was waist.
It's a most provoking thing when a person doesn't know a cravat from a belt.
I know, it's very ignorant of me.
It's a cravat, child, and a beautiful one, if I may say so. It's a present from the White King and Queen. There now.
Is it really?
Yeah, they gave it to me. They gave it to me for an unbirthday present.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not offended.
I mean, what is an unbirthday present?
A present given when it isn't your birthday, of course.
I like birthday presents best.
Ugh, you don't know what you're talking about. How many days are there in a year?
365.
Mm-hmm. And how many birthdays have you?
1.
Mm-hmm. And if you take 1 from 365, what remains?
364, of course.
I would rather see that done on paper. That seems to be done right.
You're holding it upside down.
To be sure I was. I thought it looked a little queer. As I was saying, that seems to be done right, though I haven't had time to look it over thoroughly just now, and that shows that there are 364 days when you might get an unbirthday present, and only one for birthday presents. No. There's glory for you.
I don't know what you mean by glory.
Of course you don't, till I tell you. I meant there's a nice knockdown argument for you.
Well, but glory doesn't mean a nice knockdown argument.
When I use a word, it means just what I choose it to. Neither more nor less.
The question is whether you can make words mean so many different things.
The question is in which is to be master, that's all. Impenetrability, that's what I say.
You seem very clever at explaining words, sir. Would you kindly tell me the meaning of a poem called Jabberwocky?
As to poetry, you know I can repeat poetry as well as other folk. If it comes to that.
But it needn't come to that.
The piece I'm going to perform was written entirely for your amusement.
Thank you.
I sent a message to the fish. I told them, this is what I wish. The little fish's answer was, we cannot do it, sir, because...
Well, I'm afraid I don't quite understand.
It gets further easier the further you go on. Then someone came to me and said, the little fishes are in bed. I took a corkscrew from the shelf. I went to wake them up myself. And when I found the door was locked, I pulled and pushed and kicked and knocked. And when I found the door was shut, I tried to turn the handle, but...
Is that all?
That's all. Goodbye!
Of all the unsatisfactory people I've ever met. Oh, of all the unsatisfactory people I've ever met.
Oh! Ahoy! Ahoy, Jack!
Oh dear. May I help you off with your helmet?
Oh, yeah. Now one can breathe more easily. I see you're admiring me little box. It's my own invention to keep clothes and sandwiches in. You see, I carry it upside down so that the rain can't get in.
But the things can get out. Do you know the lid's open?
Oh, I didn't know it. Oh, then all the things must have fallen out. Oh, and the box is no use without them. Can you guess why I did that? Well, in hopes some bees may make a nest in it, and then I should get the honey.
Well, but you've got a beehive or something like one fastened to the saddle.
Yes, it's a very good beehive, one of the best kind. But not a single bee has come near it yet. And the other thing is a mousetrap. I suppose the mice keep the bees out, or the bees keep the mice out. I don't know which.
Well, I was wondering what the mousetrap was for. It isn't very likely there would be any mice on the horse's back.
Not very likely, perhaps, but if they do come, I don't choose to have them running all about. You see, it's as well to be provided for everything. Well, that's the reason the horse has those anklets round its feet.
But what are they for?
To guard against the bites of sharks. It's an invention of me own. And now, hit me on. I must be on my way. Oh! 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 Well, I hope you've got your hair fastened on.
Only in the usual way.
Well, that's hardly enough. Well, you see, the wind is so very strong here. Oh, it's as strong as soup.
Have you invented a plan for keeping the hair from being blown off?
Oh, well, not yet. But I've got a plan for keeping it from falling off.
Well, I should like to hear it very much.
Oh, well, first you take an upright stick, then you make your hair creep up it like a fruit tree. Now, the reason hair falls off is because it hangs down. Things never fall upward, you know. It's a plan of my own invention. Yeah, you may try it if you like.
I'm afraid you've not had much practice in riding.
What makes you say that?
Because people don't fall off quite so often when they've had much practice.
I've had plenty of practice. Plenty of practice. Well, the great art of riding is to keep your balance. Oh! Oh!
It's too ridiculous. You ought to have a wooden horse on wheels, that you ought.
Does that kind go smoothly?
Yes.
I'll get one. One or two. Or several.
How can you go on talking so quietly, head downwards?
Oh, what does it matter where my body happens to be? Oh, my mind goes on working all the same. Oh, and now I must leave you. Oh, you are sad. Let me sing you a song to comfort you.
Is it very long?
It's long, but it's very, very beautiful. Everybody that hears me sing it either brings tears into their eyes, or else...
Or else what?
Or else it doesn't, you know.
Oh!
Oh! Well, the song is called "A Sittin' on a Gate," and the tune's my own invention. Me, 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 me. I'll tell thee everything I can, there's little to relate. I saw an aged man a-sittin' on a gate. He said, I look for butterflies that sleep among the wheat. I make them into mutton pies and sell them on the street. But I was thinking of a way to feed oneself on batter, and so go on from day to day, getting a little fatter. He said, I hunt for haddock's eyes among the heather bright, and weave them into waistcoat buttons in the silent night. And that's the way he gave a wink by which I get me wealth, and very gladly will I drink your honour's noble health. I thanked him much for telling me the way he got his wealth, but chiefly for his wish that he might drink my noble health. And now if e'er by chance I put my fingers into glue, will madly squeeze a right-hand foot into
a left-hand shoe, or if I drop upon me toe a very heavy weight, I weep, for it reminds me so of that old man I used to know, whose look was mild, whose speech was slow, whose hair was whiter than the snow, whose face was very like a crow, with eyes like cinders all aglow, who seemed distracted with his woe, who rocked his body to and fro, and muttered mumblingly and low, as if his mouth were full of dough, who snorted like a buffalo. That summer evening long ago, sitting on a gate. And now I must be going. But you'll stay and see me off? I shan't be long. You'll wait and wave your handkerchief when I get to that turn in the road? I think it'll encourage me, you see.
Of course I'll wait. And thank you for the song. I liked it very much.
I hope so. But you didn't cry as much as I thought you would.
I hope it encouraged him. And now, for the 8th square, and to be a queen. Oh, what is this on my head? And how can it have got there without my knowing it? Oh, this is grand! I never expected to be a queen so soon. And if I really am a queen, I shall be able to manage it quite well in time. Or would you tell me, please?
Speak when you're spoken to.
But if everybody obeyed that rule, and if you only spoke when you were spoken to, and the other person only responded when you spoke to them, you see, nobody would ever say anything, so that...
Ridiculous! Why, don't you see, child? What do you mean by, if you really are a queen? What right have you to call yourself so? You can't be a queen till you've passed the proper examination, and the sooner we begin it, the better.
I only said if.
She says she only said if.
Oh, but she said a great deal more than that. Oh, ever so much more than that.
So you did, you know. Always speak the truth. Think before you speak and write it down afterwards.
I'm sure I didn't mean...
That's just what I complain of. You should have meant. What do you suppose is the use of a child without any meaning? Even a joke should have some meaning, and a child's more important than a joke, I hope. You couldn't deny that, even if you tried with both hands.
I don't deny things with my hands.
Nobody said you did. I said you couldn't if you tried.
She's in that state of mind where she wants to deny something. Only she doesn't know what she wants to deny.
A nasty, vicious temper. I invite you to Alice's dinner party this afternoon.
And I invite you.
Well, I didn't know I was to have a party at all. But if I am, I think I got to invite the guests.
We gave you the opportunity of doing it, but I dare say you've not had many lessons in manners yet.
Manners are not taught in lessons. Lessons teach you to do sums and things of that sort.
Can you do addition? What is 1 and 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 1?
I don't know, I lost count.
She can't do addition. Can you do subtraction? Take a bone from a dog, what remains?
Well, the bone wouldn't remain, of course, if I took it. And the dog wouldn't remain. It would come to bite me. And I'm sure I shouldn't remain.
Then you think nothing would remain?
I think that's the answer.
Wrong as usual. The dog's temper would remain.
Well, I don't see how.
Why, look here. The dog would lose its temper, wouldn't it?
Perhaps it would.
Then, if the dog went away, its temper would remain.
Well, they might go different ways. What dreadful nonsense we are talking.
She can't do sums a bit.
Can you do sums?
I can do addition, if you give me time. But I can't do subtraction under any circumstance.
Of course, you know your ABC.
To be sure I do.
So do I. We'll often say it over together, dear. And I'll tell you a secret. I can read words of one letter. Isn't that grand? However, don't be discouraged. You'll come to it in time.
Can you answer useful questions? How is bread made?
Oh, I know that. Well, you take some flour.
Where do you pick the flour? In the garden or in the hedges?
Well, it isn't picked at all. It's ground.
How many acres of ground? You mustn't leave so many things out.
Fan her head. She'll be feverish after so much thinking. She's all right again now. Do you know languages? What's the French for fiddle-de-dee?
Fiddle-de-dee is not English.
Whoever said it was?
If you'll tell me what language fiddle-de-dee is in, I'll tell you the French for it.
Queens never make bargains.
I wish queens never asked questions.
Don't let us quarrel. What is the cause of lightning?
Oh, the cause of lightning is thunder. No, I meant it the other way.
It's too late to correct it. When you've said a thing, that fixes it, and you must take the consequences.
Oh.
Which reminds me, we had such a thunderstorm last Tuesday. I mean, one of the last sets of Tuesday. You know.
In our country, there's only one day at a time.
That's a poor, thin way of doing things. Now here we mostly have days and nights, 2 or 3 at a time. And sometimes in the winter, we take as many as 5 nights together. For warmth, you know.
Are 5 nights warmer than 1 night, then?
5 times as warm, of course.
Humpty Dumpty saw it too. He came to the door with a corkscrew in his hand.
What did he want?
He said he would come in, but he was looking for a hippopotamus. Now, as it happened, there wasn't such a thing in the house that day.
Is there generally?
Well, only on Thursdays.
I know what he came for. He wanted to punish the fish because...
It was such a thunderstorm, you can't think.
She never could, you know.
And a part of the roof came off. And ever so much thunder got in and went rolling all around the room in great lumps, knocking over tables and things, till I was so frightened. I couldn't remember my own name.
I never should try to remember my name in the middle of an accident. Where would be the use of it?
Your Majesty must excuse her. She means well, but she can't help saying foolish things as a general rule. She never was really well brought up, but it's amazing how good-tempered she is. Pat her on the head and see how pleased she'll be. A little kindness and putting her hair in papers would do wonders with her.
I am so sleepy.
She's tired, poor thing. Smooth her hair, lend her your nightcap, and sing her a soothing lullaby.
Well, I haven't got a nightcap with me, and I don't know any soothing lullabies.
I must do it myself, then. Hush, abide, lady, in Alice's lap. When the feast's ready, we've time for a nap. When the feast's over, we'll go to the ball. Red Queen and White Queen and Alice and all. And now you know the words. Just sing it through to me. I'm getting sleepy too.
What am I to do? Do wake up, you heavy things. I don't think it's ever happened before that anyone had to take care of 2 queens asleep at once. No, not in all the history of England. It couldn't, you know, because there never was more than 1 queen at a time.
I use whiskers. We shall be late.
Late for what?
For the banquet.
What banquet?
Your banquet, of course. Quick, now!
You've missed the soup and fish. Put on the joint. You look a little shy. Let me introduce you to that leg of mutton. Alice, mutton. Mutton, Alice.
May I give you a slice?
Certainly not. It isn't etiquette to cut anyone you've been introduced to. Make a remark. It's ridiculous to leave all the conversation to the mutton. Remove the joint.
I won't be introduced to the pudding, please, or we shall get no dinner at all. May I give you some?
Pudding, Alice. Alice, pudding. Remove the pudding. Queen Alice's health.
Queen Alice's health.
Queen Alice's health. You ought to return thanks in a neat speech.
We must support you, you know.
'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the momraths outgrabe. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jub-jub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time the muxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the talgy wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2. And through and the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, Callooh-Callay. He chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoths, and the momraths out grape.
Something is going to happen.
No. Can't stand this any longer.
No room.
It's for you.
Abomination. No room. That's enough.
Well, I can't stand this any longer. As for you, I'll shake you into a kitten. That I will.
Looking-glass creatures, whatever they be, come and dine with the Red Queen, the White Queen, and me. So fill up the glasses as quick as you can, and sprinkle the table with buttons and bran. Put cats in the coffee and mice in the tea, and welcome Queen Alice with 30 times 3, with 30 times 3, with 30 times 3. And welcome Queen Alice with 30 times 3. Looking-glass creatures, quoth Alice, draw near, 'tis an honor to see me, a favour to hear. 'Tis a privilege high to have dinner and tea, along with the Red Queen, the White Queen, and me. So fill up the glasses with treacle and ink, or anything else that is pleasant to drink. Mix sand with the cider and wool with the wine, and welcome Queen Alice with 9